Here we are, another week, another episode of Real Housewives of Potomac.
RHOP.
Yep, RHOP's episode 8.
No one pronounced
Is it episode 9 or episode 8?
9.
Okay, 9. All right. Well, let's do a little toast, okay?
What are we toasting to?
We are toasting to the downfall of one Eric.
Fuller.
And yes. And, you know, a new Potomac to come.
A new
One can
productive
only
life.
hope.
Yes. Cheers.
You are now watching Mind You Media.
Mind you!
We can't use that. We don't have the rights. You are now streaming Mind You Media. Look at this. You can't see. Grand Dame of New Haven. You see
What?
that?
That's you? Karen is coming just like Eminem came for Robin and Gizelle. Karen about to come for you.
Why
Oh, that's so
No, Karen will call her one of her, what does she call them? The Doms?
The Grand Dame.
The Doms. She calls them La
Oh,
Dom.
Madame. That's right.
I literally just spit on my screen. My sister-in-law gave me this for Christmas.
You'll be the president of the Ladams.
But you know, it's nothing much to be the Grand Dame of New Haven, unfortunately.
I know. That's why it's actually such a good gift, because it's like, yeah, I guess.
No one can argue with you, huh?
There was no competition. The rest of them are like, ew, what is a Dom?
The title is uncontested.
Okay.
Those are my favorite titles, the ones you don't got to work for.
Yes. Same. Okay, so now it's my favorite time of the episode, the recap.
Oh, and look, the chicken has come home to roost. You got to do it this time.
I do, and you know what? Just tell me when. I'll get started.
I'll record it. Let me be your timekeeper so I can show you the difficulty of the thing that you like to diminish. All right, you let me know. You ready? 60 seconds.
Yes.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Tell us what the episode is starting now.
Okay, so we start with Wendy and her husband, Happy Eddie, chit-chatting over food. We're doing a little montage. We see Ray and Karen arguing because Karen had a medical appointment she calls him about, some results. He was in the bathroom. He was very short with her. But then they hug it out. Then you have Gizelle, Charisse, and Ashley talking shit about Robin. Some friends. You then have best scene of the episode, Mia, Gordon, and really RIP to Gordon as a character. He's growing on me just as he's on the way out, okay? And they are cooking with Robin and Juan, and Mia holds Juan to account. Next, we have the self-defense class with the Grace and I don't even remember her name. Gizelle. Okay, Gizelle is gonna get taken. We also have Wendy and her mom.
That's time.
You know what was your downfall? You can't help but throw your little commentary in there.
I know. It's true.
You said some friends.
Yeah. Because I was getting to the things. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so Wendy and her mom address the shrine situation. I think that actually happens before the self-defense class. What annoyed me about, well, we'll get into this, but I just want to note, even the way that Wendy brings up that conversation, so she said something about you and a shrine. It's like, why are you also talking in this weird way about
Well,
interview of mom. That's not how y'all relate.
She certainly does not live according to her own truth. She's always in response. Someone else sets the terms, Wendy responds to them. That's it.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And she carries them forth. It's horrible.
Mhm.
So then we also have Candace, also had some medical news, and she was in the car talking to her mom about it. The mom didn't give a fuck. She was like, calm it down.
I agree. I disagree.
Yes. Well, we'll get into that later. Maybe we will have a disagreement. Then Candace goes to eat with NECA, another restaurant that I felt like I would want to try out.
That look good. Miss Creoles or something.
Yes.
That's what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And that mac and cheese looked cheesy.
No, exactly. Then NECA is like, I think we would be BFFs if it weren't for Wendy. That was so already the fact that your enemy is close friends with this person, probably you two wouldn't be that compatible, you know?
And like, just on what grounds? Like, how? Like, if somebody said that about me, I'd be like, do I have a say in it? How dare you speak for me? That was very triggering for me, specifically as an 8. Like, no, I'll let you know how I feel about you.
Yes. And then last but not least, we have Karen's Pave event. And
I have a triangle.
Oh, you got a triangle.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Candace noted for us this was in the like little filming of her new confessional look. The triangle is not just for tears, it is for any orifice that's leaking.
She's so thoughtful. She just came prepared.
Oh, so you have a runny nose. I thought you made a triangle specifically for the Pave conversation.
I was gonna say
I'm recovering from illness.
But
well, we're
might get a little real when we talk about Mia's triggers.
That's true. These holes.
Yes. Okay. Well, glad everyone is well and here to talk Potomac. So with that being said, let's get started with that first montage of scenes.
The Eddie and Wendy one is quick, so it's my only thing is like, okay, I guess the point of it being quick is like, really, producers, like, you just refuse to let us see them kind of like, you know, like in a way that like builds their characters for the sake of the show, right? Like, because later we do get a scene with Wendy addressing the shrine thing. You cut short the conversation she's having with her younger brother and her kids. Like,
yes.
And this is just Eddie being like, yeah, you left us and we had to eat cereal. Shut up, Eddie. Don't pull a wand. And her being like, really? You chose to eat cereal. Like, why is that? You know, because these are light scenes. Can we get a like light, fun moment then?
And not only is it light scenes, it opens the episode. Like literally, they're the first people talking on the episode in this little montage moment. Like that's the first thing we get. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a snoozer. What?
Yeah, it feels like they hate her. And you know what is sad for me, and maybe I'm too hasty in this determination, but I have my reasons to believe it. I'm not even sure Wendy knows what they're doing to her. Like that's the part that concerns me. She probably doesn't even know. You know, like
I want to corroborate that. I feel like if you refer back to our previous discussions of her type and how she can be so willfully blind and like not observant about the dynamics going on in any given situation she finds herself in, it gives good reason to think she probably would will herself not to see the writing on the wall of what the producers are doing.
Yeah. And to the point Katherine made in the context of finishing the recap, like, why does she begin the conversation being like this shrine thing? My point about that is like, so then first of all, you take the very flawed and already anti-Black ignorant terms that the discourse is being had and you carry them forward. Of course, she can't help it. Whatever she can help it, but she's a 3, so she's still going to vie for approval according to the dominant terms. So it's like, Wendy, you're going to lose every time. You are going to lose if you don't learn to become the law in its transgression. It's not that that's the only way, but if you ask me, like, what else can you do for yourself on TV? Like, either you can become Mia and just be bare naked and open about your shit and live in it. That's a good strategy, but she's not going to do that. So then you're smart. Challenge the fucking terms. Don't then reuse them later and go, innocence. Like, you could tell us that once. Why have you forgotten?
Yes.
And you have such good terms to challenge with. Like, Next is an idiot relative to you, Wendy. Like, you really could pull out all kinds of stops to show her to be the fool she is, but you instead want to like again, why is intelligent Wendy continuing to take up her terms?
Yeah.
Mhm,
And I think I'm
mhm.
bringing this up in the context of this little clip with her and Eddie at lunch, debriefing the Austin trip, because I bet you Wendy sits at home, watches that and goes, Eddie, look what you did. You made us look bad for like bringing up the cereal thing instead of, which, yeah, that was annoying of him. But instead of being like, why is that the clip they're showing of us? Like, out of that
Yes.
lunch we have, why is that the only little soundbite we get from it? I want her to
Yes.
start recognizing that these people are intent on playing her, and she better stop fucking playing along.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Okay, then we have Gizelle, Charisse, and Ashley. Kristen, tell us about the online chit chat.
I mean, I think the thing that's most noticeable about that clip is that all of Robin's alleged friends are playing her face, getting together behind her back and being like, hey, let me tell you what she did in Austin. She got up, like, Ashley, do it, perform it for us. And of course, what I was noting is that there's this kind of discourse gaining steam on Twitter about how Potomac has fallen from the like heights of its luxury in the earlier seasons. Like, these were supposed to be rich and wealthy women having champagne and, having the
Escargot.
5-star, like escargot and caviar, 5-star accommodation. It's just, these are broke women now. And someone on Twitter was pointing out how in this scene, Charisse, Gizelle, and Ashley are sitting in Gizelle's house with a bottle of Casamigos sitting at Gizelle's feet while they're like talking and chatting. And I'm just like, why does this continue to be a fixation that like,
Yes.
they're just not the bougie, inaccessible women that I thought they were? It's like, what is that? Why is that a demerit on the show though? Like, what's the problem with having a bottle of Casamigos while you're sitting and talking? The bigger problem is that Robin's friends are talking shit about her, but she somehow wants to make Candace the enemy,
And my thing, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I find it embarrassing when people invoke that discourse, because I'm just like, how to let us know you've never even seen money lived without saying that expressly, right? Because it's like, that's always a performance when they do that. Like when Charisse was like, my champagne room, and wanted to film that's performative. People with money don't live every second indulging in the, right? Like, that's why Drake had to say, I wear every single chain, even when I'm in the house. He said, I want to be reminded. But there's a difference between like, people who make more than 6-figure salaries, right? Like whose salaries are more than $1 million, a few million each year, right? Because that's who you were always talking about anyway. We're talking 6 figures or low millions. If we're talking about the Potomac area in the first place, those people are not the highest paid celebrities, dummy. Okay. They're not at every moment like, yes, I need to. People don't live like that. It's not even real. So like, anyway you want them to perform, turn on a fucking drama. Watch White Lotus then. Watch Succession.
Yes.
Like, okay, watch Empire. Watch Empire. Watch Power. Because those are scripted shows that will give you that every second if you need it, because they're cultivating it. It's like reality. So you want to see it realistic, right?
And weren't these viewers making fun of Potomac in the early seasons for these very aspirations to wealth and the performance?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
When I go back to those seasons, I'm like, oh, Carrie, you tried it. You ain't nobody's etiquette master. If you are, it's a intense investment in performing etiquette. So that will somehow mystify the people to make them think you're the wealthiest wife of Black Bill Gates. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you know who else does that on another beloved franchise? Marlo. And that is what makes her most despicable. Okay. Remember when Marlo came out swinging? Remember the South Africa days? Remember when that was her and Sheree. Remember when she came out swinging with that etiquette shit? It was annoying. The actual person
embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. First of all, it's like, it's anxious. It's desperate, and it just goes
very try hard.
Yeah, your insecurity and your level of remove from the lifestyle you're actually clamoring for. And the person with actual money all that time who was like most put off by it was Candy. Okay. Like, don't people like Candy because actually she has money, but she fucking keeps it real? when she doesn't like, I know people like that about her. They're not complaining like, oh, Candy's giving us broke bitch. So like, stop. Like, Karen was a punchline the first few seasons at the producer's behest for precisely this reason, because it was fake. It was fake.
And then the other person who performed it badly, like you said, was Charisse, and she was a sad punch. I mean, like, I don't know if you could be a punchline, you're just that sad. Like, she was a very pitiful character, because it's like, girl, the riches that you claim are made possible by the man who don't want to be with you, and you can't avow that your marriage is crumbling.
Yeah,
she was a sad figure
and has remained. You know, people had that meme of her like Eeyore, always looking sad.
Enough. I don't want to see it. We are moving on to Wendy and Mama Sue.
I mean, Katherine said no, we can't.
Wendy and Mama Sue, no, that's too far.
The Grand Dame of New Haven has spoken. We're moving forward.
Do you mean to Karen and Ray?
Oh, Karen and Ray. Okay, quickly, let's get into Karen and Ray. The two of them are sitting in like a gazebo. Is that where they're sitting? And Karen is talking about, in the Pilates class, she brought up, triple 20. I have this like plaque in my heart valve or something.
5%, and it is irreversible.
Yes, she reveals that she just got a call. Irreversible, but got to keep up with my healthy lifestyle. I'll be okay. It doesn't have to get worse.
I doubt it's irreversible. They just don't know. The doctors don't know. Okay.
That's I could, anyways. Yes. So when she got this news, called Ray immediately, and he was like pretty short with her on the call, because apparently he was in the bathroom running late to some sort of meeting. And she's like, you just didn't even want to hear it. And he was like, I wouldn't have even picked up the call for anyone else. I was in the bathroom. But she was very much like, this was important news to me. Yeah. And then it cuts the entire conversation where there would have been that coming to terms and like, okay, well, this is why and this is what, and just gets to Ray being like, I'm so sorry, baby. And, then it's over. So that was one of the scenes that when I watched it initially, I was like, what is even the purpose of this? If they're cutting out the belly of the convo, it seemed like the Wendy and Eddie thing. Like, you're just trying to show this Black couple be like discordant.
Or you're trying to show Karen to be like an unreasonable diva who makes demands in her relationship.
That's what it felt like was the thrust there. It's like, Kristen and I liked it because, we were working with the material that they gave us, right? And it's like, what was good about it is that it was a conflict, but it was like a healthily engaged conflict. Like, I appreciated that Karen was insistent, like, no, my feelings were hurt. And she didn't like make accusations, right? She was talking about her feelings. She said, my feelings were hurt, that I was having this like health issue, right, about my life. And you seemed to not care. That hurt my feelings. It was just like a very beautiful example of how you might engage someone, how you might engage your husband if they're, if they hurt your feelings.
Yeah. It was a very real type of argument,
But of course, I think the point is that the producers don't want it to be read that way. They want it to be read as like, oh, the last time we heard Karen bring up this 5% plaque, it was in the context of the deadpan they did at the Pilates.
Yeah, they were mocking her.
So they're like, oh, Karen's concerned. She's making this announcement to her friends. It ain't even that serious. Ha 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 ha. And they bring it back again to make it look like, to emphasize, oh, Karen, she's just so crazy over this 5% nonsense. Like, no, her parents both died. She's scared.
Yes. And mind you, okay, this comes on the heels of last season's Mia cancer scare. Seemed very like not like, is this being fabricated, blah blah blah. So I feel like they want Karen to seem equally like, look, these bitches just always making up their near-death experiences,
And for me, like what this seems to underscore is like the producers have zero, they do not care about these women, and they're not empathetic people. Okay. They're either totally motivated by profit in a way that crowds out the possibility of them even exercising compassion. It's like, but you would think because they have relationships, because they're working with them, that they would care about them. They do not produce scenes in a way that suggests they actually care about them. And it's getting ugly and it's getting disgusting. And that's why the quality of the show is falling off, if you ask me.
And that's why we cheers to the departure of Eric. Though I think to Ellen's point, like he probably trained up his minions to do the same exact thing.
Yep. Okay. Now to Wendy and Mama Sue.
No.
You're what?
Out of order, ma'am.
Oh, you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking in the chat. You're one of these things. Oh, I see. You two look at the chat and you can see what I keep reading. Okay, sorry. No, go scroll up. See Kristen's original thing.
I said disregard that one.
Anyway, get to Juan.
Okay. And I told you I'd already disregard. Okay, the cooking class. The cooking class was a mess. It was actually genius. Okay. So when they're walking into the cooking class, Juan gets a call from I don't know, like a manager or someone who's helping him get a job.
He's calling them coach. He's calling that person coach.
Yeah. Okay.
Could have been Coach Bree.
Tell us about that call.
Could have been.
Okay, it's like, I just know that Juan sounds anxious as hell. No, please. Juan is begging. Yes. And I'm like, wow, we've never heard Juan as supplicant. Like, he's like, please, I need you to do this for me. So whatever, we don't get the details because of course we don't know, but like we can see Juan is desperate for a new job opportunity, and that's coming across strongly in whoever he's on the phone with. What also happens is once he gets off the phone, Robin walks out in her pink jumpsuit like Barbie. Recall several episodes ago when Katherine uncovered for us that early in their relationship, Juan's family used to call her Barbie. Okay. And I know like Margot Robbie and the Barbie premiere last summer, means everything is pink everywhere, right? But I have a feeling that also inspired Robin to lean back into this persona. So she's wearing her pink jumpsuit and with her, badly styled long blonde hair. And she steps out. You see her step out and you see Juan touch it interestedly, like, which funny story, this happened to Kristen. Kristen experienced some students do this. Anyway, it just reminded me of that just now. Let me not even bring it up. But it's one of those things where it's like, like
when did the students do that?
Oh my God, it's a whole story.
Was it recently or a long time ago?
On the Udens.
I know, right? They may or may not be actively enrolled, so we may not be.
And the student may not even realize because it's like it was like a trance-like thing, right? That's what I mean by like the fetish of the hair. Like Juan went like this, just absent-mindedly but interestedly, like to her hair. And then she's like, you could see she's like, oh, Juan's interested in me. So she's like, da 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 da. She says something. We don't hear it well. I think she might have just said like, who are you talking to on the phone or whatever. And then Juan, just as soon as she asks, Juan snaps out of it and he steps back. Like almost like in karate, I learned. Like,
as did Grace and Gizelle.
Say you're a millennial without you're saying you're a millennial.
He doesn't put his fist up, but he does do that step back from her. I can't help but raise my fist when I do it. He steps back, and then instantly when he does that, she makes a 90-degree turn. So she's forward facing him, getting closer and closer to him when he's touching her hair. Then once he steps back, she turns completely this way, like towards the camera is in the distance. And then they together walk into the venue. But it's like they're talking, so they're not doing these kind of like gestures like that consciously. They're still having their conversation. He answers her question vaguely and rushedly, and then they walk in. But I just think on the level of body language, it's like, she was like, oh, is he feeling me today? You know, I'm pretty sure Robin gets cute to like try to re-trigger Juan's interest. And I'm not pathologizing her for that or anything, but I think it's just like a far cry. It's not gonna work. Okay, that's just my point. Like, it doesn't seem to be working.
That ship is
It's not like
sailed.
Robin is not cute, right? But it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah.
Because he can only sustain this trance like touching of hair. And then when the minute she starts talking, he goes, and then she very defensively reacts also by turning. And I just feel like that's a microcosm of their fucking relationship.
Yes. Oh, yes.
He takes 1 foot back defensively and she says, I'm out. And 90 degrees her body in a different direction. Hers is not like offensive, like preparing to, it's just like absent. You know what I mean? Juan is like, I don't trust you. And she's like, I'm out.
Shut down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so then that's all before they go into the cooking class. They don't even know. Yeah, you better be on the defensive, okay?
There's some offense awaiting.
So they go in there, and Mia and Gordon. I think this is a very interesting, like, budding relationship with Mia and Robin. I feel like Mia is like oddly a safe person for Robin, even though Mia is like quick to throw shade and be unapologetic about that.
Yes. Well, you know, the 5 goes to 7 in stress. So while Robin's at her lowest, I can imagine that Mia looks like an appealing figure.
Well, you know what? That answers a question for me that's to come. So that's useful, actually.
Yeah. Mia says like, oh, Gordon and I have had to be cooking because, you know, we lost all of our money, so we can't afford a housekeeper or a chef. And now we'll be.
The housekeeper was the chef. The nanny was the chef. If you listen closely, she's trying to play word games to make it seem like those are 2 roles. It was the same person, and it's Jacqueline's sister. Okay.
Yes.
Who they lost last season before their fortune lost because
That's
she
right. That's right. They lost them in a fight.
Very true. And so now they're making pasta, and Mia takes this opportunity to ask Robin to ask Juan to, you know, just explain what happened with this woman in the hotel room.
Well, before she does that, remember, Mia's like asking Robin, did you tell Juan about Austin? And Robin says, he doesn't understand female drama. Like, understand? What do you mean? He doesn't understand female? Robin, shut up with your attempts to be one of the boys and to like protect Juan against any indictments that come up in the group. It's just like, you look so pitiful when you say shit like that. Or
any attention or interest in her feelings and the goings on of her life.
Yes, it makes me sad. Like, this is what you tell yourself. He just doesn't understand female drama.
That's what she tells herself.
It's horrible. And so, yeah, Mia holds Juan's feet to the fire. Like, you know, what if this woman needed you to put a credit card down because you were going to be just so magnanimous, why didn't you like call it in? Like, you had to go in person to this hotel.
And Mia leads with saying like, yeah, Juan, I didn't believe your account. Like, basically she's like, I didn't believe what Robin said. And that's when the producers cut back to the thing. It's like, she's very like up front, like, Juan, it didn't sit right with me, so I'm curious. I want to hear it from your lips.
Yeah, because he says, what is there to talk about? It's like,
and then Gordon looks like the ideal spouse as he stands next to Juan.
Quietly.
Suddenly he's very caring. He really is attuned to all female drama, you know.
Yeah, but it's, you know, I actually appreciated that Mia's thing was like, it was very sarcastic. I was like, oh, this is bold. Because I'm afraid of Juan. I would not talk to him that way. Okay.
Yes,
He's like, so you called, right? Because you could put your, oh, no, that's right. You didn't. You showed up. He said, I showed up. I went there. And she's like,
Mind you, in a cooking class, they are in a room full of knives and she tries them like that.
okay, I think the like key bottom line here for Juan is like, I mean for Robin, frankly, is like your husband is sitting here being like, yeah, I own it. I made a mistake. But that you don't seem contrite. You just seem defensive. You need to raise the standard for what counts as an apology from your loved ones, Robin. At least contrition looks like, I'm sorry. Like a facial expression attends it. And it ain't okay. Like
Ain't nothing, ain't no next time.
Yes.
like she's re-embarrassed every time, but like how do you live like that? How do you just resign yourself to being embarrassed anytime your husband might be around? Like, is she in some la la land where she's like, well, he's still sexy, Mon Dixon. He not cute no more. He not cute no more.
I used to love Juan Dixon from earlier seasons. When he started receding his hairline and getting mean, he's not cute no more.
He was mean from the beginning and he was still fun.
Okay. That's why I couldn't tell that he was mean, because I was just like, oh, well, he's so fine. He ain't fine.
The
like
lip hadn't faded as much. But now, like, yeah, resentment has settled into his face and he is just, I mean, of course he was resentful back then, but it has settled into his face and he's less attractive. Like your husband, the least he could fucking do if he disrespected your marriage as he did, right, Robin? Like that's unequivocal. He disrespected your marriage. So he should be prepared to address, since your shit is on national television, he should be prepared to address questions, right?
Yes.
And he can't do that in an angry scowl at the people who raised them. He has to say, no, I fucked up. It's true. It's true. Like, yeah, it's going to be humiliating for it to be raised over and over again, but that's the punishment you pay for your behavior, because it's getting raised over and over again to the person who's the victim of your behavior. Yep. And you, as the fucking wrongdoer here, can't countenance people asking you about it without attacking them.
And that's what makes him look like the wrongdoer.
Yeah.
As wild as the actual situation, original story is, what really makes him look guilty is how angry he is now about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, how does he not know that? Does he just not care? Like, he thinks that he can get away with continuing to not care that, like, it's almost like he thinks like, oh, the TV shit is Robin's. It's like, no, Juan, you're there too. Yeah. You are on TV, your kids are on TV, your household is on TV, your life is on TV. So you need to be a participant in the like, you know, the life of this story.
Yes, he has been Robin's only plot line from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, he probably doesn't, he's resentful of the TV, but it's like, guess what? If you really told her no, she wouldn't be doing it. Exactly. So I know you are actually condoning it because you benefit from it. Okay.
Yes.
So then you have to conduct yourself in accordance with that. I mean, the two of them, like, this is, by the way, and I'll probably say this like 4 more times, this is not an endorsement of therapy per se, but the two of them need individual therapy and couples therapy out the fucking ass, because Robin doesn't even have a sense. Like, she needs a stranger, a disinterested party to corroborate what it is she deserves, right? Like, she needs someone. Yes. She needs someone to say, Robin, you deserve a look of contrition.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too much to ask. Mm-hmm. If he's fixing his lips to say sorry, you can tell from his face he doesn't mean it. You don't have to settle for that. You can keep pushing him. And by the way, he's owed some things as well from you. We'll get to that in a moment. But like, and that's why she, you know, because she's so fiercely guarding her things away from him, she can't push him too far, because she's like, oh yeah, I don't trust you with my heart. So that's fine. If
I push you, you're gonna push me, and I won't have it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they're roommates.
Yeah. Only now there's the force of the law involved yet again, because they got married again.
Right.
Okay,
now I don't want to say it, but we can talk about Wendy and Mama's.
We're skipping past Robin's facials company. studio.
Oh yeah, Glow 30, Glow 30. I was thinking about that when you were talking because it's like she has to diversify their portfolio. She has to be on this show because of Juan's job insecurity. Period.
I'm getting annoyed. Like, okay, tell me if this is fair. I'm getting annoyed because it's like, can Juan be this little enterprising person too? Like, it's like I can't tell if Robin feels inclined to do all these businesses or if she feels like she has to, but like it doesn't seem fair that like Juan isn't being like, oh yeah, I'm doing this other thing because the coaching thing didn't work out. Like Robin is doing Embellished, Robin is doing Glow 30, Robin is still working in PR, Robin is on the Housewives. Like, can Juan contribute too? Like, I'm not saying like I'm not saying like he has to be the breadwinner, but it's like it feels like she's doing all of the labor to keep their life together.
Hustling.
Well, she is. But y'all, she's also like, I know she's not a 3, but she's also very invested in that position. Like that article that you dug up from years ago has taught me so much. She's his mother. So she wants to, she lives for that role. Like I'm sure there's a lot she hates about it, but there's a lot she's attached to, so she persists in that role. She's his mother, so she wants to be in this position, and she knows like the best she can do for him is make him feel some sort of material stability. That's where that's when he feels love. Probably his love language is, can you secure us materially? And I think for him, he's not entrepreneurial. He's not going to branch out. And probably it's a sign of his low self-esteem that he thinks the only thing he can do is going to be expressed in some form of basketballing, you know? Like,
right.
I think it's his sense of himself is like, I don't have anything else to offer. So that's why he's so fixated on these roles, right? Like he once he left the NBA, it's like, well, the only other thing I can do is be a coach. And he's not interested in branching out because it doesn't reflect what he thinks he has to offer the world.
And you know, it's so sad. I almost said, well, he could run a basketball camp, but he's
done that.
Children are not safe.
They're not safe, and he's done that. he used to do that back in seasons ago.
Robin would go too. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think maybe it's triggering to me. I'm just like, can you stop a little bit? Like, can you maybe I just recently watched couples therapy with that Jewish couple where the woman was like, if you stop, he will maybe fill the gap a little bit. And it's like, just stop doing things, Robin.
I mean, that's true. Like, but it will be an uphill battle, I think, for him, right? Because he'll have to get some self-esteem first.
Yes. I also feel like, yes, he will fill the gap, but like, just like when she was out of town and the kids didn't go to school, I think it will take a moment of them really being
suffering first.
Yeah.
Including the children. Well, yeah, what she needs to do is, you know, this sounds terrible because frankly, the kids are not her whole responsibility, but go ahead. This is never going to happen. Go ahead, get a divorce, have full custody of the kids. Will Juan die? He won't. He won't die. And sometimes that's what it takes for a like woman who wants to be the mom of a man. She needs to, first of all, remember, it's been so long, she can't remember Juan ever taking care of himself because he literally was a child. He wasn't taking care of himself. But if you leave him, if you leave him to himself, he'll figure it out. And if he doesn't, it's still not your fault.
Yes, get out.
You married him as a partner, not as a surrogate mother.
Well.
I don't know.
That should have been what she married him for, but I don't think it was.
Oh, yikes. It wasn't?
No. No. They think of this place like Disneyland. We're giving them a sleigh bed.
Yes. Yes. I want them to be comfortable and happy when they come over. Horrible. Okay. Are we done with this segment?
That was I'm sorry, that first episode, she disclosed that both of his parents had AIDS or something. I was just like, that's disrespectful, Robin.
He probably, okay. Now that's what Juan is mad about. Like, and he's been holding on to it.
It might have been the second episode, but I've been watching back and I remember being like, damn, Robin, You just gonna put that out there? Like,
Oh,
after
that's
he
the
said I should have
price.
married somebody with an MBA instead of somebody in the NBA. Like, why are you?
Oh, he's
That's the price of being on this show. Like, if you're gonna be on this show, they are like, you need to tell how you are in proximity to like destitution. You need to like
She
wheel
has her
out
own
Sheila.
examples to draw from.
I
She
know.
didn't
Oh,
she
well,
didn't reveal the friend who took their money and committed suicide until
Later.
episode 7 of that
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
No, it's because Juan was a poor little black boy from the hood who
yeah.
she saved. She was
And
lit
she
on him
and like
underfoot.
she saved him only for him to bring them down, which is why she has to still work in PR, and she couldn't go to Ashley's whiskey event because she had to work an evening event. You know, like
Oh,
I was
right.
like, damn, Robin, that's not the way you just out his shit. Like, was he cool with that?
Mm,
Okay.
mm.
Yeah, let's
Okay, Wendy and Mama Sue. Somebody take us there.
Mm.
Well, we find Wendy in the kitchen of her home, providing snacks for the little ones, the littles.
Shut up. She didn't say that. She didn't say that.
She didn't say that. And also talking to her younger brother who is in college and we don't often see.
And he's a theater major. I
and
really
he's a
liked
theater
him.
major.
Me too. That passing glimpse we got.
And classic three big sisters. She's like, you don't need any snacks. You're too big. I'm like, hey, oh, shut up. Like, what's
me a
the
question?
tall? He's tall. Like, that's what she means. Anyway, it's like, of course she had to be critical. I mean, I do think she gets that from her mom. But then she pivots, she leaves the younger ones at the kitchen island to join her mother in the seating area. And she goes, so Mom, are you feeling better from your surgery? And her mom begins spinning this tale. She's like, an elective. I had an elective. And Wendy's like, Mother? She's like, the surgery I had before that was elective had complications. And then that's why this other health thing emerged. And I said, now, what was that elective surgery?
Yeah,
It
Wendy
was
was like,
cosmetic. I can tell you
she
that
was like,
much.
stay on script, stay on. You were. This
Yeah.
was a real hospitalization. You know.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
it was.
here's a return question I have to last episode's discussion. Now, did Candace either know that or have some inkling of that? Is that what motivated her to doubt the sincerity of Wendy bringing that up to
Mm.
her and Karen in Austin? Remember when I was asking about like, now why would Candace doubt Wendy saying that because her mom was in the hospital, Mia's comments had extra charge? I wonder now, did Candace either know that her mom had recently had a cosmetic procedure or have some inkling that maybe it wasn't as serious, or maybe she didn't know that there was a complication from the cosmetic procedure, but she might have thought it was the cosmetic procedure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that we really have no way to know. But I mean, we could also gauge by like how seriously Wendy took it. Like she was crying, right, when she was on the phone with her mom in the hotel, but she also didn't leave. She also stayed in Austin for a trip
And
that was
it's
already going poorly.
it's hard to say too, just because I feel like we don't get a sense of, you know, where's the line between coworker and actual friend. So it's like, you know, an actual friend would probably know that her mom was getting this elective or cosmetic surgery. But it's like, well, we don't really know, you know, their actual friends compared to the enemies on this show,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. It does seem like they maybe both have a desire, but that something is blocking it.
Yeah.
They seemed cute and close last season in Miami. You remember when like during the Miami trip, like Candace went to see Trina for her verse or whatever, and they were kind of together.
That was cute.
That was cute, but like I feel like this season their togetherness has always seemed a little like distant or strained a little bit by something that's like not quite nameable, and I don't know what that
I
is.
feel like part of it is Wendy is getting played this season, and Candace has been nice to her, but like no one is swooping in to be like, why the fuck is everyone playing Wendy? You know, like I feel like she's looking for protection, but doesn't even know she is. Like she's feeling isolated and vulnerable, and
You're saying Wendy's looking for protection?
Yes. Like,
But
I
I
think
think
she
maybe
gets-
Candace can't abide that Wendy can't see she's being played. Maybe that's like the biggest block. Like Candace is just like, girl, I can't be your savior if you can't acknowledge that you're being played in this scenario.
And of course, there are probably tons of moments where Candace feels some sort of camaraderie. Like, here we are, the ones being villainized because we're darker skinned. And then Wendy kind of betrays that level of closeness by doing something like kikiing with Ashley in a way that's like, oh, you know,
yes.
because Candace is relating to Wendy like you, girl, but don't fully trust you, which is how she pivoted to relating to Karen after a certain turning point in their relationship. And they're both threes, you know, Wendy and Karen are both threes, it seems to me. But like, I get it. And I'm just speculating, but I would probably have a hard time trusting Wendy as well.
And then Candace turns around and, you know, is talking to NECA at the pool in Austin, you know, and then it's like, I'm sure Wendy feels betrayed by that, you know.
But even Candace's consideration of Wendy as she's engaging NECA, we'll get to that in a second, but it's like, at least that's a level of her like observing reality that we don't get from Wendy when she's out here talking to Ashley like, girl, we're BFFs. We had a great time at your housewarming, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with Ellen in that. I think Wendy would be a hard person to trust.
Yeah, and we don't even have that much material evidence, but it's like you can suspect because you see how she'll play herself. So it's like you can't really trust her to not play you.
If you will betray yourself so quickly, of course you're gonna betray Candace, anyone else, you know.
Remember what Candace said in Austin about Robin, if she's running around with friends like Gizelle, how can she trust her? It's like, that's Candace's admission about friendship with Robin. So you know that must apply also to Wendy.
Yeah.
You know?
And I can't wait till our rewatch brings us back to season 4, I believe, when Monique and Candace, once best friends, have their relationship disintegrate before the viewer's eyes because Monique proves herself to be the nastiest fucking traitor you will have ever met in your life. Running around with Ashley, being like, you want to see the text messages between me and my close friend? Here you go.
Yep.
Pardon?
Yep.
Pardon? On camera?
Yeah.
To say, I didn't do anything to you. She did. I'll show you. Like,
this is triggering me. Something recently happened to me like this.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared to get there.
Okay, but back to Wendy and Mama Sue, because the way the conversation proceeds is Mama Sue then gets her bearings. No, what I was saying was I had the elective surgery and then the bad thing happened to me. I'm fine now, Wendy. Yes, I'm fine now. Carry on with this combo. And then Wendy is like, how does she bring it up? So a shrine?
Said something about you in a shrine.
No. Wendy says, okay, so no, so my sister is friends with this woman, Leb. Is that her name? Leb? Cause something about Leb came, and then Mama Sue's like, yes, your sister and Lebe were very close friends. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's right. Okay. Leb is friends with my sister. And then what did you say to her? You said something to her? And Mama
then she goes, so this woman, NECA, pauses. Mama pauses, okay. Mama Sue goes, what's her name? You heard her, girl. First of all, like, it's not like Wendy kept talking for 2 more minutes and then you couldn't. I mean, then again, who knows the way the producers cut, but I don't think so. I don't think so. And then it's like, it's a common Igbo name. And y'all are both Igbo. You know good and well what that woman's name is. You did not forget the second after she mentioned it. Enough with the performance. At least be good at it.
And then there's this confusion about Lebe. And amidst the confusion, then Mama Sue's like, oh, well, people say she's like my daughter. And it's like, well, then what?
Wendy's like, mother, why would you say that?
Like, Mama Sue refused to stay on script. It was so funny. Wendy's like, we practiced this. Then it gets to, and then Mama Sue's like, oh, right. Shrine. The only shrine I've heard of is in Baltimore.
St. Jude's Shrine. Like, Okay, yeah. I mean, we could chalk it up to just like bad acting, bad lying, and this is the problem. Like, I don't know if Wendy goes to her mother for guidance on how to conduct herself on TV, but Mama don't got good advice, okay?
Yeah.
With all due respect, Mama Sue, if you're the one advising her on how to conduct herself publicly, I'm not surprised you don't have good advice because you thought it was a good idea to show up here skin bleach like we weren't gonna notice.
Like the
Yeah.
whole nation was gonna not say nothing.
Like, you should have kept your ass off the show if that's what you were gonna do. Okay.
No, and meanwhile, she thought it was going to be this debut. Like, I'm
Yeah.
ready for my spotlight. And it's like, oh my God.
And every time I have seen Mama Sue on camera, I have been like, please, why are you pushing such destructive values onto your child? Like, it's never good. Okay. I'm sorry. It's never good. And Wendy, we talked about this in the beginning of the season. It's like, Wendy, why was that the tack you took? Can you talk to some wiser people and ask them about how you might approach things? And she never does. Like, it's always a bad idea. This whole stage a conversation and make it go well, girl. Make it go well. Change the terms. You're smart enough to do that. She loses all sense. And then she's just battling on the terms already laid out for her. It's like, don't you get it? They're trying to write you as the Black woman who loses, right? The dark-skinned woman who is monstrous and terrible. If you engage their terms, you can only be cast like that. You're helping them do that way.
And this was such an opportunity. Like, finally, I get to talk to my mom. Like, we're just going to have a real conversation and like show how this way that we've been portrayed is just absurd and anti-Black. Like, oh, what did you actually say? Oh, this is what and that's what blah, blah, blah. Like, it could have gone very smoothly and effectively, but instead it was just like,
and are they protecting the producers by not bringing up the fact that, like, my issue with this person, Nneka, is that she tried to get down using my name, right? Very relatable problem, okay? Like, if it was me, I'd be like, I don't know her, and I'm not claiming her. I have my own friend who I'm trying to bring on, and I don't like that she's insisting on knowing me to cozy up. Like, I can't vouch for her, right? If that's, expose the producers, expose production, expose the like conspiracy being hatched by Gizelle and them. Like, why are they protecting the producers?
She doesn't realize that honesty is an option here. And if she was just actually honest about what happened,
that's it.
It would all be cleared up.
Everybody needs to learn your truth. I promise that's fucking good enough. You know why? Because it's understandable. It's relatable. People will have gone through it. It doesn't matter. No matter what your fucking truth is, that's the righteous ground you stand on. Okay.
Especially when you say it with your chest. Because look at how this little interaction with Mama Sue and Wendy closes, where Mama Sue was like, I was just saying there are friends and there are enemies. And Wendy's like, oh, don't say that. They're gonna say that you're praying against them. It's like they literally end the encounter with Wendy being like, oh no, I'm gonna be anxious and scared that people are gonna continue to interpret you as praying against them. Like, when you keep being trapped.
And that's the thing. It's like, if Mama Sue was like so upset by whatever the situation was initially, to call someone and leave a message and say it with her chest, then whatever that underlying emotion was, it's like, you knew you were on the righteous ground. You knew it. And it's like, don't just tell us what you already knew.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. It's like an intense fidelity to Christianity brought to you, like a Christianity brought to West Africa, okay, by missionaries. That's going to cultivate a sense that you are bad, flawed, wrong in your very fucking being. That's what motivates people to skin bleach. So it's like they can't experience their truth as legitimate, right? That's why you perform. That's why you fake. That's why you pretend. That's why you lie. That's why you change your appearance so drastically, because you can't honor that. Like, no, the self you have, that one is good. You can make mistakes and your actual self can be good. That's it.
Yes. Wow.
I mean, at least Wendy looked fucking stunning in this
beautiful. You know what? I feel like when I was looking at her in that scene, I was just like, I'm so glad she realized, or maybe the like makeup tides turned or whatever. She realized, like, the skin bleaching doesn't have to go. You don't have to go for that. Remember we saw those old pictures of her on MSNBC with the light foundation. She just looks so beautiful. It was nuts.
It's actually NECA who is making those tragic mistakes. Okay,
Girl.
like matching her foundation to.
And continually like invoking the necessity of bundles. Gotta have bundles. Gotta have them long. Gotta have.
Yes. Like Candace says, okay, bundles. And she goes, it must reach the floor at all times. Hair must be long. Meanwhile, Candace has her own hair, like no tracks in, and she's like, okay, girl. And I love that we're both wearing bright outfits.
Okay. How did you find, like, it was like, that's a reach. Where? Like,
it was very painful. I feel like, I'm not even gonna name names, but I feel like I know people like that, where it's like they're just looking at the other person and it's like, how can I say we're the same in this random ass way?
I thought.
So thirsty and desperate. And Candace clocked it immediately. She said, yeah,
I guess.
Oh, good afternoon. Like settles into her seat. Like,
okay, that's something to say. Okay. Like,
alarming. Okay, but before we get there, we have to talk about self-defense with Gizelle and Grace.
No.
And the only thing I have to say about that is it's very clear to me Grace is upset with Mama. She's mad. She's mad. The whole car ride, because Grace is normally, Gizelle will say at some point in the scene, Grace is the glue. What she means by that is Grace is the one who's constantly talking her sisters down, especially the one sister who Gizelle does not get along with as much. They're fucking twins. It's crazy, right? But like I feel like Gizelle treats that one like, you're not my child. Like you don't even look like me. Like, but Grace is the one who's normally like, girls, like, give mother a little bit of credit, like, and then she'll indulge.
She's that annoying older sister who's like,
I don't think they regard her as annoying. I think they go,
I don't think they do either.
You're right, Grace. Like,
but the kid that sides with the parent instead of the other kids,
Yes,
well, it's in the name. That's true. Give me some grace.
But I think it's in the name exactly as you say it, Kristen. Instead of siding with Mom, I think she goes, give her some grace, right? Like, which is Giselle's tagline for the season. But I think she actually like holds their feelings, and that's why they are so healthy and sharp. And they criticize Mom, and then she goes, dial it back a little bit, okay? Because at least you wouldn't want to embarrass her on TV, right? And they're probably like, okay, you're right, Grace. And I think Grace is the glue in that regard, because she brings the peace to them. If she was totally sided with her mother, those girls would cut her off, and it would just be a war of 2 against 2.
Well, what did Gizelle say about them? To me, the biggest part of the whole interaction was like, if I'm like sad, it's not because I'm not happy for you, but it's just been me and you and them other girls. Like, literally, when she said that, I said, oh, if I'm the twins, it's murder beef after that.
If there was not a clear indication of Gizelle, like, it would be a funny and cute moment to be like, when you're with just one child, to give her a little something extra, but it's on TV, first of all. Second of all, you do favoritize, show favoritism towards Grace. So it's like, stop. But what my guess is that Grace is mad at her because Gizelle, in her feelings about the fact that the one soldier she has is leaving, has probably been a fucking menace in that house. Like, mean, trying to stop Grace from doing some things right on the eve of her even leaving out and having full independence. Like, she's probably trying to, because you can tell Grace is not having it. Like, she's normally more gracious towards her mother, and this time she's like, oh, yeah, girl, I know. Yeah, you have been.
Well, because now Giselle's even saying things like, I don't know if she should be allowed to walk alone by herself, And it's like, what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I suspect Gizelle is trying to sabotage Grace's going to college now, and she's getting annoyed with it.
And that makes sense, because when they open the scene, when Giselle's like, are you ready to go? And Grace is like, yes, I'm ready. Very much. And she's like, you said that too quick. Grace is like, what do you expect, man? Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, you've been nasty to me. Because it's not, of course you're going to be upset when your first child goes to college, right? And like, recall earlier in the season when she's talking to Robin at lunch and she goes, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. If Gizelle doesn't want to get vulnerable about it, it is the most painful thing she's experiencing right now, right? Like, And that's fair, but you can be the parent that goes, oh my God, like on the one hand, I'm so happy for you, but I'm gonna miss you. So like, that's not gonna fuck your kid up, right? Like give expression to your feelings. You're not gonna stop her from fucking going just because you're sad about it. Just, you let her know she's well loved. You're gonna miss her. And she can be open and honest about her feelings as well. They previewed the conversation between Raven, Karen, Grace, and Gizelle next episode, and you can see this will come back around. But I just want to mark that it's clear to me that Gizelle is not really taking this well. She's not taking the imminent departure of Grace well. She's probably punishing her. She's probably punishing the other girls, and Grace seems really fed up. And then they go to self-defense, and she's like, "Let's call Jason." Random, like
that was
when she did
sickening.
that. I said, "Girl, what?
Ugh.
What is that reasonable to do now? You passively invoked him in the course of some random story, and you're like, oh, let's call him." And Grace is like, "Oh, hey, Jace."
Literally, and she's she's not the mean one, so she should have been embracing him if it was not like the tackiest thing her mother could have fucked. Like, we're trying to have mother-daughter moment. I'm currently mad at you and like defrosting after this exercise, trying to have a conversation with you so we can get back to a better place. And you're like, now let's call Jason so you can legitimate the relationship for the viewers to see.
Exactly. It's so embarrassing. The Jason saga is the most embarrassing thing Gizelle's ever done.
I want to see the twins. Like, I want to see how the twins, because my sense is when Gizelle said that, it corroborated something that felt very true about how the twins regard her. When she said, like, it was me and you and the other girls, and then the twins are always just like, hey girl, yeah, fine, I'll show up, but you ain't shit, and we ain't gonna mince words about that.
But one of them is a little more a mama's girl than the other one. I think it's Adore is the one that she's closest to, and Angel is the one that she has her issues with. So I fear that when Grace leaves, Adore will step into the role of, the like number two, and it'll mess up the twins' relationship.
Justice for Angel. One of them earlier this season, we did see one of the twins with Jason, and
that was
in the
Angel.
kitchen.
I'm pretty sure that was Angel, because I was shocked that like Angel was being nice and embracing him. I said, oh, okay. But I think Gizelle's getting exceedingly more unhealthy and this is who I really wanted to say needs to go to therapy. Grace needs to go back to that therapist.
Which one?
Dr. Ken. I think it was Dr. Ken.
No, you know my thoughts on Dr. Ken.
But he was helping her because he understands her on a level. And I think that wasn't the one who once saw Nene. Anyway, but they're both 8s. Like, she needs a therapist who like can understand her, because I also believe the reason why she was making fun of Robin, like, she's not doing well. And when you think about the way Gizelle shows up in these scenes, it's like she's not funny, she's not interesting. Yeah. As we rewatch the first season, we go, wow, that Gizelle was so compelling. She was so real. Yes. She was so candid. She was more vulnerable. She was
way more vulnerable. Yeah.
Oh, this is what I wanted to say about her. Like, when I brought up the Twitter discourse about the fall from luxury, I wanted to say, like, there's a question about Gizelle's alcohol use. I wonder if she's using alcohol more as a like sedative, as a thing to like indulge as she's experiencing the pain of Grace leaving, because like we might read, instead of the Casamigos bottle on the floor as some indication of luxury not being there, as like Gizelle's comfort. I feel like in many of these scenes this season, she's always like, a Casamigos double, please. Like, when she and Robin met up for what looked like brunch or something, she was like, Casamigos, that's my boyfriend. And it's like, okay, Gizelle, are you now just leaning on alcohol as a crutch instead of like actually being like compelling and interesting and more open as you were back in the early days?
Well, the thing about the alcohol,
the 8s have been implicated.
I have a busted lip talking about the thing about someone else and the alcohol. So the thing about the alcohol, that goes, if that's the case, it goes hand in hand with the Jason saga. I feel like she could very much be like, okay, I'm trying to do a young thing. Like, oh, well, to counteract, I have this child that's now an adult going to college, you know, like, oh, actually it's my time. I'm not that old. Like I can still do it. I'm out here.
Yeah,
Remember,
I think
remember during the intervention when Charisse arrives when Robin arrives at the intervention and Gizelle's like, what do you want? And Robin was like, Gizelle was like, what do you want? We got champagne and stuff. And Robin was like, well, I see the Casamigos is open, so I'll just have some of that. And she was like, no, whatever you want. Like, I have whatever. And she was
I
like,
brought
no.
champagne just for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say, at the risk of being an 8 trying to defend or stave off accusations of alcoholism, I will say that, like, I mean, yeah, probably 8s generally use alcohol as a crutch. I want to say like 8 wants a rich time, and they know alcohol is a great strategy for a rich time. And it can be hard to tell like how much use is how much use, because I think what's also happening with Gizelle, like I notice whenever it's time for Gizelle to indulge nourishment, this is when I see myself most like her. She orders the exact same things as me every time. Like if she's not drinking tequila, she's drinking lemonade. Okay. Also my obsession.
Have you had the ginger lemonade from Whole Foods? That joint is delicious. If you're a lemonade
but I'll check it
connoisseur.
out. But I will check it out. And then she's always ordering steak. Right? People are like, I'll have a fish, steak, the red meat, please.
I always notice her orders.
Yes, and this is like I want to think this is the appetite of the 8 because I can relate to it. You know what I mean? And I think she never gets a cocktail because the cocktails have sugar, and that, you know, like I can't drink sugar. I don't drink cocktails either. If I'm ordering my alcohol, it's straight tequila. And people will like, you know, you'll be at people's house, they'll be like, oh, wine, and I'm like, tequila, and then they'll be like, what a lush. It's like, no. You're drinking alcohol as well. I just can't drink your heavily wheat-based alcohol because that's a sugar, right? Like it'll mess you up. She's always ordering tequila, straight tequila, no cocktail.
She's taking it to the head.
And I think that just makes it look crazier because, you know, like I literally can't drink other kinds of alcohol. And I think that makes it look crazier when you just get straight tequila, because people are like, hard alcohol, the party alcohol with no drinks or juices in it. And it's like, yeah, for my health, you know,
because
health consideration.
I will say, like, I haven't noticed like Gizelle being like particularly drunk, whereas like other figures on the show, frequently it's like, okay, like now all the young ones are at the club, definitely drunk. Or Charisse, definitely drunk a lot of the time, you know, like you don't see Gizelle actually.
But you can't gauge that because an 8 almost never looks drunk. Like, you know, I mean, I can tell when you've been drinking, Katherine, after your like 10th glass at the end of the night when you're spiraling downwards. But like you're when you're like drunk, you know, it's like it doesn't. Right. Like we always talk about this. It's like
y'all go from good time to dead.
Exactly. And then the good time kind of looks like, oh, I don't even know if you've been drinking. It's kind of like what you're like normally when, you know, and it's
right.
That's the thing about Gizelle. She might call it an early night, but we can't gauge drunkenness to see if she's overusing because we'll never know.
True. Okay, that's true.
Well, let's look out for it. Let's look out.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, we gotta move on. Candace, we started getting into this a little bit. Candace meets up with NECA, but on the way there, she talks to her mom on the phone. She also has this health thing. She has some lumps in her breast. She thinks the doctors say it's gonna be okay, but they're gonna keep watching.
They think they're lymph nodes.
And
like, y'all don't know.
They don't. They really don't. They won't.
They don't know anything.
The lymph nodes occur in the same place in people's bodies. Like, you know, they're here, they're behind your knees. Like they're at different points in your body. Why? Yeah, you're in your armpit. Why can't you tell her if those are lymph nodes? Like we
don't know exactly.
So she's like, I want this shit out. I want it out. I need to know, you know, and what does Dorothy say at the
You
beginning?
gave her the tough voice, but she's actually crying.
Well, yeah.
Dorothy's the tough one. Stop overthinking. Just stop overthinking. I mean, Dorothy does like corroborate Candace's sense of things, but not before saying like, you're doing too much overthinking, and you see Candace reacting to that because I'm reacting to it. Like, don't ever tell me that shit when I'm disclosing something that I'm fearful about. Don't tell me you're overthinking. Just say, I understand. I think you're right about that, or I understand. I would do this. You know, like,
is Dorothy a 1?
Probably.
I feel like that's such a 1 thing to do. Like, you're just trying, and then it's like they can't handle the like emotion of
that's
like,
that's what it is. That's why I'm saying it's like she's not trying to be mean. It's like she doesn't have capacity to hear you panic about something that's going to scare her. Your imminent death would terrify her. So she's like, don't go there. We're not gonna, and it's like, yeah, Dorothy, but you have to remember it's her death, so it has a little even more meaning to her than to you. Like, I know you're her mom, and like a mom would be like, are you crazy? Like, the child does not care about themselves more than I care about them. Like, you know, moms would be crazy enough to say some shit like that, and they might be right. Actually, they might actually be right. I don't know. I'll honor the possibility that it's true. They might care more, but it's like you can't. And she's a therapist, so you would think she has all these like tools in her pocket.
No, she don't use them herself. She don't use them herself.
Imagine like, being her patient and seeing this show. Like, okay,
can you imagine anybody telling you but then your daughter telling you they found 2 lumps? To hear that, whatever you say after has to be like, oh my God, like, okay, just tell me, okay. And Dorothy's like, like, you know, she has the same.
I don't want that. I don't endorse that. Like, somebody saying I have 2 lumps, it's like you have to know the lay of the breast cancer, breast exam thing, because lumps are not necessarily cancer. They're not necessarily malignant. So you don't necessarily want to confirm the person's worst fear. You know what I mean? And I guess that's what I could hear in Dorothy. Like, okay, lumps happens all the time to women. Okay, keep going.
I'm getting triggered because this is literally what my mom would do. And she's done very similar things. One, right? Yes, she's done very similar things. And it's like, yes, she does care that I live. Like and she cannot hold this. And she thinks me saying, oh, it's like, she has to shut it down, you know? Like, I don't think it's coming from a bad place, but it is triggering to, like, I'm just trying to say you know,
maybe if she was like, hearing her out and then said something like between that and stop overthinking. Then
she did say something between that. She said, you need to get a second opinion. It's okay. Just go get it checked again. And then you'll like, you know, in other words,
like, at the end, it felt like she went from like, stop overthinking, Candace. Well, just get another opinion. It just felt like it was like too corrective, you know?
Yeah. She realized. Her initial thing was too harsh.
Yeah, I think too corrective is the way Dorothy is. But if we remember what Dorothy was like when we first met her, the other thing I want to honor is that this is growth for her. Okay. Yeah. She has changed the way she relates to her daughter, because I could imagine her going, no, Candace, come on with all that. Calm down. But she's, okay. Well, go. You can hear a little bit of a plaint in her voice. Well, go and get it checked. Get another opinion. That's what it is. It's just, you just need another opinion. You don't, no, it's okay. Just go get it. Like, you might want to hear a softer whatever, but, and it's like, I can't relate to the one mom dynamic. I could imagine it would be triggering for me, but there's also a like, my own mom is a 2, right? And I'm like, Mommy, I have a fever. Ellen, go to the emergency room. I'm like, no, girl, I don't need to go to the emergency room.
It's really the opposite. It's really, because it's specifically the overthinking was triggering for me, because it's like, I'm not overthinking it. I'm just telling you what happened to me today, you know?
No, but Candace was crying. She was crying. The minute she brought it up, you couldn't see because a tear did it. She said, and they said, like, you hear it in her voice. And of course, her mother knows. She probably is always on the verge of tears, even when she talks to her mom. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like all the trauma floods back and lives right here. But Candace was crying.
Okay, well, then she wipes her eyes, goes in to the Creole spot.
Miss Creole's that she and Chris have been
Yes.
trying to get to.
Yes.
Oh,
I
that
looked
was
it up. Huh?
It was weird because she was like, Chris has been wanting to come here. And then Nneka said, and you came with me? And Candace was like, you invited me to come.
That was so awkward because it was like when a joke truly doesn't land and someone just won't let it land, like it's just so painful.
I don't even think she meant it as a joke. I think she meant it on some traditional, like, and you're betraying your husband by eating here with me.
Oh,
He's going to
okay.
beat you.
Ugh.
He's gonna beat you.
That might be what happens in your household.
I don't do anything when Ike is away for 2 weeks at a time.
I stage passive protest when we go to the doctors.
Ike is never home. Like she better do stuff.
Yeah, so what else about that? Oh, essentially Nneka tries to tell us that the two of them would be BFFs if it were not for Wendy. We have no evidence of that. Annoyed. That's all I have to say.
And we haven't quite put a number on Nneka yet. But the level of desperation, I just can't see it going well in this friendship. However, Candace be annoying the fuck out of me sometimes because she is so like, it's just like, she's like, you want a baby? Oh, our lives are parallel. Girl, that's.
And this is the thing. This is the thing. It's like, is it now my thing is like, Candace, I understand you to be a discerning housewife. Like, why does this new woman come on? You see the way that Gizelle manipulates and instrumentalizes storylines and people. You can't see that going on with Nneka. You see that happening with Wendy. Like, why are you at lunch with her just like, oh, I don't want this thing with me and Nneka to get, I don't want it to be like, I can't talk to Wendy openly. It's like, I don't know. Why are you see, she just seems to be like giving Nneka such an open pass in the face of this, in the face of how Nneka has behaved. You know, I was very gratified when Candace is like, you went really hard in calling her a bitch, and Nneka was like, it's okay that she called me a crackhead. She said, that came after. Don't act like it's some equivalence that it's not. And it's like, but why are you here trying to give Nneka I don't know. It's like she doesn't see the bad behavior or the like poor investments that Nneka harbors.
No, I think she does. I think she does actually. I think she's saying because she's like, because if she iced her out, she would be repeating the crime being done to her. Okay. Right? Like, because it's like, even if she might see that Gizelle, Ashley, Robin are hatching this, I don't think she does. I think she thinks they're after her. I don't think she realizes they're after Wendy. I don't think she does. Because I think she would have a lot more grace for Wendy if she thought me and Wendy are suffering similarly. And, you know, Carlos doesn't think it's about getting Wendy out right now. He thinks Candace, Carlos King, everybody, he thinks Candace is the primary target right now. I actually think it's Wendy. I think it's Wendy and Candace second. Whatever, that's rather arbitrary. It's both of them, but I don't think
Candace is more universally beloved than Wendy, at least.
Yes, that's for sure.
Wendy doesn't have a squad,
but every episode they are bringing up, you know, in other words, fabricating and falsifying evidence to undermine Candace's character, like they did here when she said, if every time you call somebody a bitch, it's like, you had to reach back to Candace's first season and then last season or the season, but so she's growing, in other words.
And she said it, and last season she said it in a confessional, not to Ashley's face.
Exactly, not to her face. And the first time she said it like, bitch, like a girlfriendy bitch. So it's like, even your evidence is bad, but also, can she grow? Like, why would you reach back to her first season on the show? Yeah, she was more reactive then. And she's learning to be, she has clearly shown us she is less reactive. Just last episode, Ashley tried her and she said, I will not. Right? So it's like it's stupid and it's fake and it's disingenuous. But here's my problem with, because Candace also said to Nneka, I won't feel comfortable being your friend until you and Wendy attempt a conversation.
Yes.
So she's not saying like, I'm not gonna be your friend until y'all patch it up, like, because that would be kind of fucked up, right? It's like, oh, why are you carrying forward this woman's beat? I couldn't stand by that either, right? Like, But it's like, no, until I see you make a concerted effort to try to patch it up, I'm going to suspect that you're just here to take her down and I won't be able to trust you. First, try to talk things out with her and then I can feel more open to you. And then Nneka's like, well, like I said, I don't want to talk about her anymore. I want us to be friends. It's like, did you just pretend you didn't hear what I said? Like,
and it's
Nneka
like,
can't.
are those kind of people friends with Candace? Like, who are Candace's friends like that? Like, I guess because like what happened with Monique, our analysis of her and Wendy, like I can't really gauge who would be an enduring kind of friend to Candace. Obviously, Robin is, her and Robin are on shaky ground. So it's like, what kind of friends does Candace have? Like, or is she open to receiving any kind of friend, but just like at a level of friendship that's like rigorous and has integrity?
I would probably guess the latter, as an 8, talking about what the 8s, for me, I might actually have boundaries or thresholds where it's like, no, you don't qualify.
It seems like Nneka wouldn't qualify.
Well, I feel like particularly like Nneka is like an outstanding figure, like someone who's particularly fake and thirsty. Like I think that a lot of people that would accept even an Ashley, like Candace had tried to be friends with Ashley. Nneka is like next level of like, who even are you? You know?
Yeah, it's just
like
all
she's
fake.
It's an embarrassing friend to have for anyone.
But I think because Candace is grew up in pageants, and she's the kind of 8 who, first of all, she's clearly the kind of 8 who can cry openly. That's already not that common for 8.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that means she's probably inclined to be open to anyone and then just gonna handle you on the basis of what you show her. But I will say the thing that annoyed me about a moment of our lives running parallel. This is how I'm reading the situation. Like 8s can be obsessive and they can become, what's it called? Blinders, right? So it's like, she's having a baby, I'm having a baby, and that's the current obsession of my life. Now we're like, that can't be it. Single topic issue because you can relate, right?
I friendships like that all the time.
Really?
Nothing alike, and it's some random, oh, my new best friend and da 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 da, and it's horrible. And then it's like
just on the basis of your current obsession. It's like they share that obsession. It's like, do you know how many people are in the world right now currently doing in vitro? You think Nneka is?
Yes. Oh my gosh. If I were in that same situation, I would have been suddenly like,
and you saw it on Candace's face. She went, tell me more.
Yes, 7 months. Oh, like that would have been me.
This is going back, and I know she didn't say this, but when that scene first opened and Candace in the car talking to her mom, Candace was like, I'm on the way to meet my friend Nneka for lunch. And it sounded like, I know Dorothy didn't say it, but it sounded like Dorothy said, Nneka, what's that? She said, the caption said that she said, who's that? But she said, Nneka, what's that? What's a Nneka?
And I think she did. And then she said, and that, oh, so that's your friend? That's a friend. She continued to talk.
Oh, that's your friend now? Oh, you go. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Which I think corroborates her sense that Dorothy has grown. Like, that's your friend? Okay, girl. Go. I'm going to let you tell it.
As in maybe she actually already heard about her and has her own reservations.
Because we know Dorothy is quick to share an opinion with anybody and anyone who will listen.
But she's been holding back. She has been holding back.
Yes. All right. Now, last but not least, we have the PAVE event.
What's PAVE stand for?
I was just about to ask that. People
protecting assault victims everywhere.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
I was gonna say people against violence extremely.
Okay, that's one option.
And I actually thought it was really cute the beginning when Karen was talking about how Gizelle shows up for like important events like this and I can count on her. And then Gizelle comes in and she's like, the women better, come correct. Like Karen don't play when it comes to sexual assault victims. And it was just like, oh, wow, they actually, enjoy supporting each other,
Promoting awareness, victim empowerment.
There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
dumb.
Yeah.
So
It's better. I
Um,
disagree, Catherine. I disagree. I
all
disagree.
right, speak
And I
on
think
it.
it's a convenient forgetting by Karen, as the producers even
Yes.
reminded. Like, no, Gizelle has not always respected your, like, I'm not trying to say I hate Gizelle and I never want her redeemed. She needs to go to therapy before I can fucking take her seriously as a person. And so
Yeah.
Karen doing this little, me and Gizelle are, I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't like it. And it doesn't feel genuine. It feels kind of kiss assy to me on Karen's part. It feels kind of like I
It
need
is
to
very
refer
three-ish.
to my other, the other, you know,
Anchor.
top woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like Karen is tired of fighting or something. Like she needs a reprieve, so she wants to just ingratiate herself to Gizelle.
Like she feels Gizelle has some or she admires her, she respects her, she appreciates something about her, and she wants them to be a dynamic duo, something like that. But remember last episode, this endorsement lets her go, oh, I'm so sorry you felt that way about. It lets her fucking allow some or permit some nastiness from Gizelle. Remember, I think she was saying Candace is the reason I got death threats. And then Karen is
Right.
like, oh, I'm so
No,
sorry.
and Gizelle, I have daughters. Okay, my family is not safe.
That was
okay?
very upsetting. But
Yeah.
this goes back to what I was saying a couple of episodes ago. I strongly believe that in person, Gizelle has a magnetic energy that people want to be around, and it does not translate at all on screen.
So it's like, yeah, of course Karen is gonna be won over by that and or identify with it, right? Like
try to align herself. I think 8s and 3s often it's like they want power in the situation they're in. They're a good duo. No, they're
the 8
reading.
doesn't want power. The 8 is noticing the movement of power. They just don't want people to overpower them. Okay.
But the thing is, I said that wrong. I think what's very important is that the 3 wants power.
Yeah.
And so the 3 sees the 8 and then will align themselves with the 8. And Gizelle's just doing her own thing. Okay. Then what happens when they get there? Someone else take the lead.
The women walk in one by one. We get a glimpse of that hottie Kiarna, who they refuse to give us more of. And Kristen has a different candidate for best dressed.
Oh, I loved Candace. I mean, Karen's purple suit. Ellen couldn't remember what it looked like.
I don't even remember.
Very like
I just loved it. It was purple. It was beautiful. She was so snatched. Like Candace is
her hair didn't look good.
Yeah, her hair was bad. I think that I'm talking.
See, that's probably why I can't remember her outfit, because I said,
It was the suit. It was so vibrant. She was so snatched in it. She was doing triple 60, triple 20.
Dinosaur. No, you could tell she really came like, I am professional woman. I was given this title along with Joseph Robinette Biden.
Not Joseph Robinette. I was like, who's Joseph Robinette? Oh, okay. My bad.
LOL. You know what's funny when Karen begins? Okay, my own sister's name is Karine, and who does Karen look like in the world who's a celebrity?
Juan side piece.
Stop.
Just Karen.
I know Kristen knows this answer.
Who does
You're
she
gonna
look
say
like?
Dolly Parton.
Oh yeah, she's going.
No. What's her name from a different world? Whitley.
Oh, Jasmine Guy. She does not.
Jasmine Guy.
I don't see her looking like Jasmine Guy.
Well, she's aged now, but she when we met her, she was Jasmine Guy. My own sister also looks like Jasmine Guy, and she looks like Karen. Okay?
Who does? Who looks like Jasmine? Oh, Karine.
Karine. And the funny thing is that they both do this same, I imagine, they both do the same thing. When Karen begins, she goes, I'm adjusting the mic. She goes, thank you for coming. Okay. We're going to talk about something serious here. The look on her face is like she has to give aloof a little bit as she engages the audience. Like, it's her nervous, how she manages her nervousness. She's just like,
it also feels like her putting on a different persona. It also feels like her. I'm not the grande dame right now. I'm at Pave. We are all gathered here.
Yes.
It's a call to arms. You know, like it feels like she's like,
And a lot of threes, I feel like I'm thinking of one particular three I know who I'm not going to out here, but it's like feeling like she's a Barbie and like, you know, they're the astronaut Barbie, this Barbie, that, you know, and it's like, this is the professional Barbie.
Yes, of course. And I mean, frankly, who doesn't do that though?
I feel like a 4 is good for that. Remember Kenya at Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah. Well, Katherine is an 8. You're also an 8 raised by a 1, right? I'm kind of a 3-ish 8, to be honest.
You are a 3-ish 8.
Right? So it's just like and I'm a Gemini. I'm a Gemini. So it's like there's all
that. I'd be thinking of you as an Aquarius because that's your rising and moon.
Yes, my rising and my moon, which is very 1-ish, and I am
very
1-ish.
So many Aquariuses in my life. Okay, go on.
But like as the Gemini too, it's just like I have 12 different hats. You know what I mean? Like I've already worked that into my understanding of myself. There is multiplicity, so it's like I'll lean into this bag when I'm not consciously experiencing it, but it's just like, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's just like you choose the outfit for the event, right? So that is already a way of putting on.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Because you can also see the joy that it sparks within the people doing this, you know? And it's like,
Kenya Moore is a great example. When Kenya wears an outfit to a certain kind of event, she becomes a different person. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's great for that.
And that's how you know Kenya's a 4, right? Like you just, when she was on Dancing with the Stars, has anyone ever seen the compilation of Kenya's Dancing with the Stars? So like every night she did a performance, she had a new look. Oh my God, every look, yes! She didn't even have to dance that well, although she did a great job. But it was just like the way she leaned into each character that the outfit presented is why she did phenomenally. She didn't have to know the technical aspects of the dance. She just became that character for that dance and blew us away.
No, there's one other thing. Although I just don't agree that she looks like Jasmine Guy, I will say I'm glad that you invoked Whitley Gilbert because I actually believe that Karen probably looks at, or in the past has looked at Whitley as some sort of role model.
She's another etiquette groomed, you know,
from Virginia, you know.
I bet you she's been compared to her whole life. I think they even invoked it on the show. I can't believe you don't think she looks like her.
I don't think she looks like her either, but I do feel like they have sensibilities.
Yes. I think season 1 Karen was Whitley Gilbert in season 1 of A Different World.
I'm gonna look up to see if, you know, people have made the comparison already. I'll get back to you. I'm not seeing any hits so far.
I wonder why. Anyway, the pavement.
Okay. So the most notable thing at Pave, though, to me, is Mia's breakdown. Mia foreshadows it for us as she's preparing for the event. With
another cute moment by Gordon, by the way, because she's like, I don't even know what I'm gonna wear. He said, I was sitting here thinking about that.
Yeah, like, he was anticipating what was gonna be difficult for
her.
And
he wanted to bring it up, you could see, but he was like, how do I say this sensitively? Like, I don't want to ignore it like it's not an issue. I want to like offer her support.
We're in the context of a difficult time, so I don't want to be perceived wrongly. You know, like
yes.
And he was like trying to affirm. He said, that sounds like a great cause. Like it really sounds important.
Yes.
You know, he tried.
I found myself thinking like, oh, I bet he's a great dad. You know, like, well.
Calculate.
But anyways,
so Mia says that she's really struggling and that she would have not gone if she had her way in a kind of way. She tells us because she doesn't say this that she's a 7, but she says that her way of coping is to get out of Dodge when shit gets uncomfortable, and she can't do that yet. Mm-hmm. So when Karen's musical guest of honor starts singing the song about the doll in the well, Mia's moved to tears and gets up to go to the bathroom and gather herself. And we hear
what we immediately see is Ashley's face go. She's getting up. She makes
so many faces
judgmentally.
And
Yes.
Mia, we hear her mic'd in the bathroom saying, Mia, get it together. You got it. When she's not confronted by anyone, she's like, you got it. You can do it. You can do it. Ashley says, oh, this sounds like my opportunity to get some new information that can be weaponized for a future storyline. She gets up, she follows Mia to the bathroom.
Okay. Also, like the question I want to ask y'all is not Ashley, because we already know she's a nasty B word, but should someone else, should a friend get up and go follow her to the bathroom when she's standing? These women who don't know her at all are kind of inclining towards her like, hey baby, we got you. Like, you know how the table is like a rectangle. Two women sitting near her who are right behind her as she's leaving her, like kind of trying to reach out to her. And it's so beautiful because I know it was a like, got you.
Yeah.
I think the difficulty is like they were in the middle of the musical performance. So how to like get up to support Mia without looking like they're like moving away from the woman. And, you know, it's already an intimate event. It's not that many people there. So I
Yes.
wonder if people are like, should I get up and follow her or should I just be here until the song is over? Like, I feel like I would be torn between those two.
I would want, if I had a real friend sitting at that table. And so then it's like, okay, are these coworkers or real friends? You know, I would not want an Ashley or someone else who's like performing friendship. I would actually really not want that. And I, as an 8 who does not like to cry in front of people, I would, even if it was a real friend, like struggle with them following me. But it would, I think I would appreciate it still, you know, but I wouldn't think that I was welcoming that, you know.
Yeah.
But
I think it's like a real friend would have known her circumstance. That's first of
Yeah.
all, right? Like, and I don't know, maybe I would like send a text, you okay, baby? Like, should I come there? Because it's
Yes.
like most of us have been sexually assaulted at this table.
Yeah.
That's why the cause is so near and dear to us, right? So it's like you can understand someone needing to leave. And I don't know, it's like I kind of think you don't necessarily need to go after them because the rest of us are also here processing our own, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, it's you're more important, but it's like whatever you're doing it in your interest. You can handle it because you know this table is lined with women who share your experience. And if you wanted to be vulnerable in front of them, you would have just let the tears fall like Karen was. Or can't.
Okay. So that's I know my reaction to being followed. My first reaction would be, I left because I wanted to be alone.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like Robin and Austin.
Yes. Yes.
Robin left because she wanted to get away from Candace.
But if it were anyone besides Ashley following
Exactly.
Mia, I at least would have believed that the like intention was to be like a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, fair.
Meanwhile, Ashley was the worst person to follow someone in an emotional fit. I mean, I think like I want to ask you all about what you all make of Mia's account of her experience with sexual assault and in particular her implicating Jacqueline as a kind of figure who she holds responsible in some capacity for it. But Ashley, I think, was there to just extract a story. Like it felt like her saying like, oh, are you okay? Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Thank you.
I didn't. First she said, I didn't know something happened to you. Like, while Mia's like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I've stopped crying. I'm like trying to kind of get her away. I didn't know something happened to you. You want me to sit here and tell you about my instance of sexual assault while the program is still going on over there?
Ashley's like, yes, that's what I want. I'm fishing for it, please. Yes. And then Mia gives it to her, but I think to your point, she kind of like shuts down the vulnerable place that she's in to be like, yeah, I mean, I think that's why I hold Jacqueline responsible. And but I unfairly punish her, but she was there and she left me and, you know, I couldn't get out of it. And I think you hear her warring between her like vulnerable, like, her vulnerable self-blame, but her like sense that it's not fair to put that on Jacqueline, and Ashley's just there like consuming it, like taking mental notes about what to hold on to for future purposes.
And I bet you we're gonna see Ashley having used that information later on. Yeah.
And
I was thinking about that too. I was like, now what scene in the future is Ashley gonna run to Gizelle, Robin, or some Karen, Sharice, and be like, "But I talked to Mia, and do you know?" Because it's like, who in good conscience can run someone's story of sexual abuse to another group as a
It'll be the Jacqueline aspect, I think. I think that will be the thing she'll use.
Yes.
To further create conflict in their relationship.
It's important to note though that in Ashley's confessional, she said that she had been touched by a family member, and she doesn't offer that up to Mia. She doesn't say like, oh, actually, I was assaulted as well. I've experienced blah, 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 blah. Instead, she makes Mia seem like this aberrant, like, oh, that happened to you? Oh.
Yep. That's why it's like, I didn't know something happened to you. Like that, it's even from the beginning, it's like, okay, now you're making a spectacle out of me, which is probably why Mia's bad instincts kick in and she pivots to invoking Jack. And of course she is saying like, it's not fair that I punish her, but she doesn't do enough to say, it's not fair that I blame her.
Yeah.
It's not, she is not the one to blame. We don't have to know the details. How could she be the one to blame? It's disgusting. Like,
you literally are saying that what Jacqueline did is what you would do under those circumstances. You just couldn't get, she's like, and anytime I'm uncomfortable.
Left for that reason. We don't know that Jacqueline left because it was dangerous though, right?
We don't know that.
That's true. She says
Jacqueline went home to get some clothes. Maybe Jacqueline went home because she had a curfew and Mia didn't.
Right.
Because I suspect they were teenagers.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like you better clarify the story, at least if you're gonna like, and I think the thing that's annoying is like maybe maybe Mia should have been like, hey, producers, interview me about this instance in the confessional and don't play that, because you would be woefully, misguided if you let air that on an event about sexual assault that I'm putting the responsibility. I said that in a moment of vulnerability. Let me clear the record.
Yeah.
But of course they don't. Of course, because they don't give an actual fuck about sexual assault. They don't give an actual fuck about any of these fucking women. And as Carlos said, Ashley is Megan. She knows, she's like a journalist. And thank you for the interview. She knows exactly when to run and get the information, and then she'll let it cook. When they tell her, use it here, that's when she'll use it.
Yep. Yep.
All
Her
right.
editor will say, this is the point that you use the information. She said, okay, you did say, babe, that you.
I also hate, let me just say quickly, I hate that the way that Ashley is the little bone collector. I hate that she, like her whole performance is like, I'm this like really caring, really woke, like, like she acts like this little white woman and like, I'm just saying all the right things. And then it's like, your motives are heinous and you deploy these like, facts that you collect in the most disgusting ways.
Yeah, literally. And like Gizelle, I didn't really like Gizelle's behavior in this scene either, because like afterwards in the confessional, she's like, I needed to ask Nancy or whatever that woman is. I needed to ask her like what I should do with Grace, because I don't want my girls. Like she said, it was powerful that everybody shared. By the way, like the odds are Gizelle too was sexually assaulted. I don't know her truth, but I suspect if she was, it's not something she would be inclined to share. So she's like, let me make sure my girls, they better be strong enough to fend off it's like, okay, that's a lot of pressure on the victims.
Right.
of a rapey society to fend
I know
off.
she won't be, kick them in the nuts. Let's go to the self-defense class.
And she said, I don't want them to be another statistic.
Yeah.
That's already conservative language. And don't you they say, I don't want to be another statistic where it concerns poverty, where it concerns jail, because it's easy to criminalize the poor.
Where else they said, where else Gizelle said that explicitly? is
Where?
at Karen's gathering on behalf of Monique after the fight. Gizelle says, "We are Black women. We can't be statistics out here," when she was condemning Monique for fighting.
In terms of exercising violence. And it's like,
Mhm.
you don't want, like, who says, like, you dumbass. Most of the women around the table have been sexually assaulted. You're going to talk to The Nation Plus,
Yep.
right? International show. And in light of what you must know about the amount of women who have, you're going to say, I don't want to be another like, I want them to be pure and virtuous and saved. Like, I don't want them to be discarded trash like the rest of you bitches who've been sexually assaulted.
Yep. It's called
Well-
assault. It's happening to them. Like, what are you talking about, you dumb B word?
The way she says it, I feel like is even worse than because it's like, she's like, to learn that was happening to other people. It's like, it's scary out there. Oh my gosh, this could be
like one of those. Exactly. To learn that these women.
Even if we believe her that she has been no way violated at all, it's like, you are in such close proximity to that every moment. Like, why are you trying to act like this is foreign, you know?
Your husband, by the way, whether he had, whether the child can be said to consent, guess what? Legally, they can't. He had relations. Didn't he impregnate?
With a young, yep. Was a teenager, right?
I totally forgot about that.
Yes. And her, like, of course she will fucking, what's it called? Criminalize the victims of sexual assault. I don't want them to be another statistic. Ugh, like one of those bitches who are tarnished.
Meanwhile, you got 3 daughters. Odds are at least one, if not all of them, are susceptible to. Shut up, you dumb B word. Are you dumb?
The level of misogyny is strong. Another 8 trait, let's be honest, right? Like, the masculine energy of the 8 often translates to misogyny, and it's disgusting to watch.
Yes, and I did say earlier, she was coming off like a full man in that episode.
What y'all be dealing with? What should I say to this B word?
I'm just worried about my daughters.
Like, and the way she accosts the woman afterwards. Come here. How I could keep my daughters from becoming one of you.
It's literally. Oh my gosh.
Sick.
Okay, well, we got to wrap this up. It's been a long episode. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe.
Which one of these conversations was the hardest? Because I don't quite know myself.
Conversations that we ain't seen.
They
were probably there, but we didn't see them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Shout out to Eric and his fucking malpractice.
It should be called malpractice.
Bye.